California Democratic Senator Alex Padilla joins me now. Senator Padilla, thank you for your time. Evaluate what has happened in Los Angeles the last couple of days and what your reaction is to California's lawsuit against the president and the underlying illegality or legality of federalizing the National Guard.
Yeah, well, thank you, Major. Great to be with you. And I'm glad Elise just emphasized in that prior segment so much the peaceful nature of the protest, because as I've been talking to community leaders and organizers, as well as the mayor, the governor, the police chief, the sheriff, that's everybody's assessment. By day, these are largely peaceful protests. The folks that show up after dark and are involved with the looting and the vandalism, which has no place, it's wrong, and we denounce that, is a very different group of people. So it's important to distinguish what's going on here. Look, I think it's important to have your viewers understand that to the extent that this has been a crisis in the Los Angeles area, it's a crisis of Donald Trump's making. The increasingly aggressive and cruel tactics of the immigration enforcement is what's prompting the response of people who are passionate about speaking up for our fundamental rights and due process. Because the enforcement operations have gone far beyond just the violent criminals or the dangerous criminals that Donald Trump has promised. It's raking in people who are otherwise innocent, hardworking women and men, children. When federal agents are showing up at elementary schools, you know, that tells you something different. When a 4-year-old in the Central Valley who's depending on life-saving treatment is told to self-deport or else. Thankfully, in that particular case, that notification was withdrawn, but only because of the immense public backlash against that type of cruel immigration enforcement. Now, the president has set the stage by raising the tensions with these aggressive tactics and will take any small opening or manufacture an opening to further escalate. The National Guard, to your point, is not only not necessary here, it's counterproductive. Their presence is what's causing people to feel a little bit more on edge. As things have been quieting down a little bit more each day, now he's countering that not with a de-escalation, but now potentially sending the Marines. Donald Trump is escalating the situation. I'm glad the Attorney General and other partners across the country have filed lawsuit because we don't think there's a proper justification for the federalization and deployment of the National Guard. Local law enforcement is capable of handling this. Los Angeles has seen many protests, demonstrations, rallies, marches, et cetera, over the years. I trust them to handle it again.
Senator, I want to play for you sound from the president today in the Oval Office. Let's listen.
If there's an insurrection, I would certainly invoke it. We'll see. But I can tell you last night was terrible. The night before that was terrible.
So the president has invoked the word insurrection or insurrectionist many times, and he kind of dials it back. That's a very particular word with a very particular legal meaning. And if it is true, invest any president with expansive powers. Evaluate the use of that rhetoric, Senator.
Yeah, look, it's the epitome of hypocrisy. You know, where was the insurrection word out of his mouth on January 6, 2021? Where was his call for National Guard to deploy on January 6, 2021? He's being very intentional with his words because he's potentially trying to set the stage for exploiting the Insurrection Act. Look, our nation is not under invasion. You know, in the same breath, he'll take credit for the numbers being way down at the border. And the fact of the matter is, when it comes to the immigrant population, not just in Los Angeles, not just in California, but throughout the country, are there some dangerous, violent criminals? Yeah, let's focus on them. Let's target them. There's no disagreement there. But by and large, we're talking about otherwise law-abiding women, men, and young people who are working hard, who are paying taxes, who are raising families and contributing to the success of communities and the country. Take California alone, right? California is not just the most populous state in the nation. It's also the most diverse state in the nation, home to more immigrants than any state in the nation. California is also the largest economy of any state in the nation, the fourth largest economy in the world, not despite our immigrant population, but because of the immigrant population and its contribution as workforce, as consumers, as entrepreneurs. And if you hear a little passion in my voice, it's because it is personal to me. Los Angeles is my home. I am the proud son of immigrants from Mexico who worked so hard, who sacrificed so much to live their American dream. That's what the immigrant community is fighting for.
Senator Padilla, on this program last week, Tom Homan, the president's immigration czar, said because of sanctuary city or state policies, ICE, Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, are forced to go into the community. And if they got more cooperation, they wouldn't have to do the raids they're doing. Evaluate that statement.
Yeah, look, let's understand what sanctuary is and what sanctuary isn't. It's been longstanding policy in the city of Los Angeles and for several years now, a statewide policy in California. All the sanctuary law says is the state and local governments will not dedicate their resources to the enforcement of federal immigration law. That's the job of the federal government. That's why the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, and others are there to do their job. But how they go about it is also important. Every administration has their policies and every administration has their priorities. Look, this week we're celebrating the 13th anniversary of DACA. Remember President Obama being frustrated by the lack of action of Congress, and he granted temporary protections for young people, childhood arrivals. 13 years later, Republicans in Congress still have yet to be willing to act. And this administration, like I said, maybe Trump promised on the campaign trail targeting violent, dangerous criminals only. If that was the case, there would be no debate, there would be no disagreement. But what they're doing is far beyond the pale.
California Democratic Senator Alex Padilla. Senator Padilla, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Major.